Welcome, everyone. We want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to be with us. Come on, let's get to the root of it.
In these times that we live, we take strides to move forward. We strive to be more, stay strong and be focused. Start a while, we make choices, live or die. Take over starts at the root, and the truth may be hard to swallow. Step one, self-love above anything else, and lot of peace and happiness.
Good evening, guys, and welcome to At the Root of It. My name is Shannon, and on tonight's show, we are talking again about the narcissism and the toxic traits that goes along with it. Is that what is the many toxic layers that comes with it? And boy, oh boy, we wanted to continue this show because it was so powerful. It was powerful for me. It gave me so many realizations of what I've been going through in my own life that has really helped me, get it together, guys. Like, really, there's a lot of things that we go through, and we don't realize that we're going through the things that we're going through until it's I was just getting my Instagram together. Good evening, Instagram. Hey D, how are you? But before we really get into the show, I would like to bring on my guest. She was here last week. She was we were talking about the same subject, and I told you guys that it was going to be a series. And guess what? It's going to be a series, y'all. So without further ado, introducing some and presenting to others, the Miss Phoebe Key Perez.
Hey.
Hello. All right.
How is everyone doing? It's good to be here.
It's really good to be here tonight. And thank you so very much for coming on again.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, this show, we can wait for people to come on, but I think that we just need to go into the show.
Okay.
So to pick up from last week, we just talked about identifying the traits of a narcissist, right? The things that Dion said, hey, the things that we go through with a narcissist, and how to identify all the different traits. It's a lot of different traits. But tonight, I wanted to actually take it a bit further. I wanted to take it to not simplify, that's not the word that I want to say. It's not simplify, it's more so to actually give you the branches of this tree called narcissism, okay? So in this tree of narcissism, there's branches, and in those little branches is segments of different levels of narcissists. So we want to talk about that tonight. So Vicky has sent me over a video. So can you elaborate for me
on this? Okay, this was a video. Actually, I can't remember if I saw it on IG or Facebook, but I thought it was pretty interesting. I think it was Instagram. The guy was, given a heads up. He admitted that he was a narcissist. He said he was no longer walking in that, but he was explaining what a vindictive narcissist was, and he laid it all out. And it was very eye-opening. I thought, how interesting. And I said, let me send this to Shannon, because this was, it's not often that you hear someone who was a former Narcissist, I've never heard anyone. And so to hear him stating these things, laying it out, I thought, I had to share that with you
Yes.
because it was good information. Yeah.
Yes, and it really was. It really was.
Yeah.
It actually really helped guide tonight's show because I was this weekend and I'm tired, but it just really helped me hone in on what we really need to speak about because
right.
There's so many different people out there, and we like to put everything under one umbrella, and it's not under one umbrella. Like my daughter and I was having a conversation, and she was telling me about how when you think that somebody is just angry, it's not you're not just, you can be agitated, you can be depressed, you can be no, it's not just anger, just like it's not just plain narcissism. There's underlying things that as I researched it, there's underlying things that it's not necessarily under narcissistic what is it called? Let me go back.
Narcissistic disorder.
Yes.
It's not just that simple, right?
Right. It's not just a personality disorder. It can be just traits of those things, not necessarily the disorder itself is the worst part of narcissism. Right. He was truly delivered because they would never admit such a thing. Right, D, he was. Right. Exactly. He was. He said he was. He said he was no longer that. So I wanted to look up what a vindictive narcissist was. And Central.com says, in general, someone who is vindictive might tend to hold grudges. Hey, Anna, hey, Latoya on Instagram, might tend to hold grudges and get back at you when they feel you've wronged them in some way. Everyone in vindictive ways in some situations. And not everyone who does lives with a personality disorder. So that's what it was saying. Okay? Right. So, they do things. If you get away from a vindictive narcissist, they find ways, they find ways to get back at you. They want to make you hurt. They want to make you suffer. Okay? And, you don't know that they're that way by looking at them. There's no way that there's an indicator to let you know that this person is a narcissist. Hey, Sierra. Yes, she's on YouTube. Thank you. So that vindictive narcissist stemmed further research on the different reasons, right? Right. So, number one, and this is from, I took a screenshot. Anyway, the first one, it says, healthy narcissism. It says, yes, healthy narcissists actually exist. First, narcissistic traits doesn't mean they have a narcissistic personality disorder. That's what I was saying. Right. According to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, DSM-5, to be clinically diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, a person has to exhibit at least 55% of the most common signs of narcissism. Okay? Many have traits of narcissism without meeting the criteria for the disorder. So not everybody is just like, at the extreme. That's basically what it's saying. So each person has a bit of healthy narcissism within them. Cognitive, Alyssa Manco writes, A person with a healthy narcissism will feel proud of their accomplishments, which we all do. We should, okay, feel proud about our accomplishments, and we'll want to share those accomplishments with others because it makes them feel good. Healthy narcissism has the ability to feel a sense of entitlement and knowing that you belong in certain spaces, meaning you're not gonna, if you make 6 figures, you're not gonna get with somebody that makes $10,000 a year. You're just not going to do that.
Right.
It's just not on your levels. Not, so that's healthy. You know what I mean? That's what space you belong in. Okay? Deserve good things. These feelings, though, are usually in the line of reality. So this is realistic things. Okay? Sierra, narcissists hide the narcissism very well to lure you in. Yes, they do. They do. That's their, listen, one of the things that the man in that video, he was saying that's why they approach you and want to get to know you so well. They want you to tell them everything they need to know to play you.
Right.
That's really the long and the short of it.
Right.
They want you to tell them everything they need to know to play you, like play with your emotions, and you not be the wiser because he's telling you everything that you want to hear. He's doing everything that you want, and then he sneaks attacks and turn controlling or do whatever he does. Right. The next one is grandiose narcissism. Grandiose narcissism closely resembles the broader understanding of what makes a narcissist. In psychology, grandiosity refers to having an unrealistic sense of superiority. Grandiose narcissism thus involves overestimating one's abilities, asserting one's dominance over others, which is the control, and having a generally inflated sense of self-esteem. So these are the people that be walking around like their stuff don't stink, knowing that it does, knowing that they because they have not dug deep enough to get to the root of their issue. So they think flashing all of this stuff is going to cover up that they're really a hurt boy or a hurt girl.
Yes.
Bravado and grandiosity, right? It's like, no, you have all of that, but that's what makes you who you are. It's not people, it's not family, it's things. Dion says they will use it against you. Yes, they'll take all of your information and use it against you. And it's like, no. So it says, grandiose narcissism closely resembles the broader understanding of what makes a narcissist. I said that. This type Okay, grandiose narcissism is when someone's narcissistic qualities, entitlement, braggadocio, and self-obsession are openly displayed at the expense of others, Neil says. Grandiose narcissists can be charming, but often lack empathy.
Very charming, yes. That's what pulls you in.
Yeah.
Right. That's what pulls you in. One of the things that when I was doing research earlier last week was trying to see if there was a difference between narcissism and pride. Not pride in, I'm proud of what I accomplished, but pride, that's that kind of pride that when the scriptures talk about pride cometh before a fall, that type of pride that puffs one up. They're not exactly related, but they have some similarities. Narcissism is the extreme of pride. And it's so funny because you said on last week's show, you went into detail about where narcissism originated from. You know, this guy, his name was Narcissist. You know, he looked in the water and he fell in love with his reflection. And but you know what? We talked about the origin. That's where it began. I want to say in a worldly view, but it actually began because that's the same thing that the enemy did in heaven. You know, he had that narcissistic tendency. That's what got him kicked out of heaven, you know, and that came into the earth.
He had the grandiose narcissism.
Yes.
He was better than God.
Yes. So, you know, right. And it manifested long before Narcissist came on the scene. He just gave it life. You know, he gave it life. So, yeah, but it's very detrimental. And the thing I realize is that a lot of times if you have been in a narcissistic relationship with someone who has that mindset, that behavioral set, when you come away from it, you have to get help, because you may not realize that you now are walking around with tendencies because of the conditioning that you received while in that relationship. It is highly important to get the help, seriously, because I know people that have been diagnosed with PTSD as a result of being in that type of relationship.
Scared to venture out. And a lot of things give us PTSD, to be quite honest. A lot of things. We start to be real standoffish with a lot of things. What word, something like that. What's that phrase? But I just with the enemy and how he does it, and this is why people are walking around with these spirits, okay? Because we can't forget the times that we're living in. Okay. And we are in the world, but we are not of the world. But there's so many people that are of the world. So they walk like the world. They walk like the master. Just like the Bible says. The Bible says, you know, you are walking, you're walking, I know it's in the Gospels. And I wish people
as your father, the enemy, the devil.
Your father is the devil. He said it. He specified. He told you that's your devil. That's your father. It's not my father. And you know, and so that's why I believe that there's such an influx of narcissistic people in this day
now. Yes,
it's a pure sign of the days are drawing nigh. They're drawing closer. You know what I mean? All these things up, and those who have eyes to see will see, and those who have ears to hear. And that is really the truth of the matter. And like I was just telling you before I got on here, like, I cannot be a hypocrite. I cannot learn about things and talk about things and live those things and not address those things that's in my personal life. I am not a fraud, and I am not fake. I will always self-check, because that has been my life. I had to, because nothing came easy for me. So I always had to make myself get better. And in that getting better, I had to self-check to make sure that I was doing the right way. I didn't care about what people thought. Never cared about what people thought. I always cared about what God thought about me. To build my moral, spiritual character was the most important thing for me. So when I sit here and I talk about narcissism, I can actually talk about it and say that I left it because you can't get that much information on a narcissist and not make the changes necessary in your life. So that you can be whole and healed. You know what I mean? Like, you got to get those identifiers and those hard truths
Right.
I just had to mention that real quick because.
Amen. Amen.
And good evening. You okay, Mama? You are okay. Let's see. Okay, grandiose narcissists can be charming, but often lack empathy. In conversation, they don't relate to people, Neil explained, but rather one-up them. So it's always about a showing off or competition that nobody's in with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
that's true. That is so true.
They don't even know that they completed.
Listen, it's their world. You're just in it, a part of it, because they got you there, you know. And to address something you said a few minutes ago regarding the distinction, you know, being of the Lord and being in the world, that's okay, you know. Whether someone, if someone is belonging to the world and they're dealing with these narcissistic tendencies, because the truth of the matter is in the church too. It's in the church too. It's everywhere, you know. And right. So, you know, and a lot of times, I'm not going to say they are not aware. If they're in the church, they may be. You know, they may not just be addressing it. You know, God says, bring your burdens unto me, all you who are heavy burdened and who are heavy laden. Those are things we have to take to the Lord. We have to take them. We have to be conscious and purposeful about giving those things over to the Lord. We're in the presence of the healer, and we hold on to so many things, you know?
Right. And the thing is that that's why at the root of it is here, because a lot of times people don't even understand that those are the things that he meant when he said, cast your cares unto me.
Cast your cares.
People may not even understand that he meant those cares too. Not just, you know, like your work, your church, your car, you know, not just the typical things, but cast those cares too. The things of, you know, your past childhood pains and hurts and things of that nature. Cast those cares as well. And
absolutely.
You said something last week that made me think. And one of the things that you said was that if you attract a narcissist, 9 times out of 10, you have some narcissistic traits in you. So with that being said, it needs to be a self-check. You understand what I mean? Like, it needs to be a self-check. Like, all right, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. Do I do that? And actually be honest with yourself if the answer is yes.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because people like, do I do that? No, I don't do that. You're lying. You're lying.
Right. You know you have to be honest. And that's not a point of crucifixion. That's not to damn anybody to hell or anything like. No, it's not. We're not sitting in the seat of judgment. Yeah. You know, definitely not trying to. Yeah.
We all have. So I sat back and I thought, and I said, am I a narcissist? And I realized I can be a bit controlling.
I think I've been in that seat too.
Yes, so yourself. It is. And you know, I had to really sit there like, okay, controlling Shannon. All right. Everything don't have to go your way, Shannon. Right. All right. But I don't try to browbeat people. But I don't know if that's narcissism, but that may be a trait. Again, I may not have the disorder, but I have a trait, a little bit of a little bit. But now I'm gonna give you the thing about that. Although it's a little bit, the Bible says a little leaven leavens the whole lump.
Leavens the whole lump. Just a little bit.
A little.
That's
Love is
right.
So get those little foxes out of there too. Right? I mean, that's the
ma'am.
feeling
You're so right.
We need to be that with ourselves to say, okay, what do I? Let's see. My thing is this: people, and again, I'll put the disclaimer out. I am not a psychologist, a psychiatrist. This is my own personal experiences, and I believe that people all over the world talk about themselves to be all that they need to be. Now, I tell y'all about my faith. I do not force my faith on anybody.
Right.
And every time I say that, and every time I go on a sidebar, I always forget what we was talking about after. I swear I do. Now, what was I saying before? Dynamic. Let's see. Let's go. So you said, is narcissism genetic? That's Ronnie's daughter, by the way. So, is narcissism genetic? It stems from childhood. We were speaking about last week when I was talking to Phoebe, and I told her what God revealed to me in reference to being born into iniquity, into sin, and shaped in iniquity. Okay? I don't think it's genetic. I think it's environmental. Does that make sense? I don't think that it is blood. I think it's a learned behavior. And
absolutely.
Like I know I grew up with my father, right? So a lot of times when I'm dating a guy, they have some form of semblance of my dad. Right? That's just because of what I was shaped in, what was around me, what I saw in my day-to-day life. That's where the narcissism comes in. It can be passed down to their kids. It's a learned behavior, just like racism. A learned
behavior, right.
Just like racism.
Yeah.
Kids come out the womb, they don't come out hating. That is taught to them. That is spoken around them. That creates the thought process. And if there's nobody there to stop the thoughts or to stop the actions or the way that the person is doing, then it will go to the children. And then you just we was just talking about that, about how it was going to the children. You just said that. Okay. You want to elaborate on it? No.
Well, I just pulled it up just to see. Personally, I believe it is more environmental, and it's just like you said, when a child is born into a family, the learning begins automatically, whether that child is able to communicate. We know a baby communicates by crying, but they're hearing, they're taking in. A child comes in as a clean slate, but they're learning the environment. I would have to do more research to see if to see the scientific studies on whether it was genetic. I don't know. I don't know if it's genetic, but I will say that it is it is definitely environmental. Definitely.
It's kind of like in psychology, the nature versus nurture.
Right.
The nature of people versus the nurturing. And I had a debate with my friend Bella. And she was like, no, the nature is what they're surrounded on. And I'm like, no, I think it was the other way around, but we got it mixed up. I know we were saying the same thing, but we was kind of mixing it up. And I believe, and I'm like, I took psychology like 4 times. Don't laugh at me, y'all. Don't laugh.
It's okay. It's okay.
4 times. Because I couldn't get that book to save my life. I'm like, oh God, there's so much reading. And I love to read, but I don't know, psychology just got me. Anyway. So with I was from the inside of your home. The nature is the outside influences, right? That's what
Right.
so it's the nurturing that you get in your house or the lack thereof. Because Dion says it stems from trauma. So if it stems from trauma, it is the nurturing on the inside of the home. It's not necessarily internal, it's internal, it's in your. So the reason why Roger asked that, she said, did we talk about growing up with narcissistic parents? And I think we touched on it a little bit, Ro. And that's really the extent of it, as far as that it's a learned behavior. And it starts when you everything. What we realize as we continue to talk on many subjects is that a lot of things stem from your childhood. Everything stems from your childhood because that is what you're being shaped.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
So, Tej said, "Ooh, good question." And D says, "So I know someone whose mother was, and she grew up to be. Now I wonder, will it continuously happen unless the next generation is set aware enough?" Right. So the only way, how can you break a generational curse? You have to expose it, right?
You have to expose it.
And if you expose it, like I exposed our generational curse to my daughter. I said, God, I was praying one night and I asked God, what was it that hindered us in our family? And I sat there and I prayed, speaking in tongues, and I'm praying. And I opened my eyes and I heard procrastination. And I said, it sure is.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
It sure is. That's one of the biggest curses in our family. And I was like, and I remember as soon as I heard it, I got to work. He was like, I gave you something to work it. Stop procrastinating. And I got on, I mean, I think I put my flyers out, my memes out all at 2:00 in the morning. Like, I don't care if everybody's thinking right now, God told me not to procrastinate no more. I went in because I heard him. I asked and he answered. He told me, it was like, it's the procrastination. So when I told my daughter, anytime something happens, she says, that's right, because we get attacked by procrastination, Mom. So now she's aware of it. It ain't going past my daughter. It's not going, I declare that. It's not going past my daughter.
Right.
Because once you become aware of the things.
Breaking those negative pattern behaviors. I tend to shy away from calling them curses because of the cross. What Jesus did on the cross, he became an accursed thing for us on the cross. So I tend to shy away from calling them generational curses only because what Jesus did for us. I will refer to them as generational negative pattern generational behaviors. These behaviors that go from one generation to another without change. And like you said, we have to expose it. We see it and we don't put anything or any effort toward it, so it keeps going. And I, like you, have determined that it's not going past this generation.
No,
you understand? We're going to bring healing has to begin in the name of Jesus.
In the name of Jesus. It has to.
Yeah.
Because we can't keep going through the same cycles over and over and over, thinking that something else is going to change when we're not getting to the root of the issue. That's why things stay the same. And then it goes on to the next generation because nobody identified the problem from the last, because everybody want to sweep everything under the rug. And that is not how it works. That is not how you heal. That is not how you get free. That is not how you get delivered. Okay.
And the other thing is, and I hear this, my mom tends to say this a lot, not to put her on blast or anything, but one of the things she said, this is just how I am. We think this is just how our family is. This is what happens. This is what we do. That may be true how we have done it, but it doesn't mean just because we do it, it's a good thing. Right. Exactly.
Right. So the next one I have number 3, because I really want to get through them, is vulnerable narcissism, also as covert narcissism. So covert narcissism is also called vulnerable narcissism. In opposition to the grandiose narcissist, these people tend to be shy and self-effacing. Now, D, look it up. Somebody, what does self-effacing mean? I want to know. According to the American Journal, excuse me, of Psychiatry, the covert manifestly distressed. The covert is inhibited, manifestly distressed, hypersensitive to the evaluations of others while chronically envious. They crave people's recognition and get very defensive in the face of criticism. So it manifestly distressed, hypersensitive to the evaluations of other people, of others, while chronically envious. They crave people's recognition and get very defensive in the face of criticism. According to covert narcissists are often objectively miserable and believe their suffering is worse than anyone else's. Yes, they have been hurt before, Neil says, but it's not your duty to rescue them. That's boundaries too. Okay?
Yes, Lord.
Now, the next one, number 4, it says a malignant narcissism. Malignant narcissism. Just like the name implies, malignant narcissists are manipulative and malicious. They show signs of sadism and aggression. And according to American Journal of Psychiatry, are the most severe subtype of narcissistic personality disorder. So the malignant narcissist is the one that you need to watch for. They get pleasure seeing people writhe in pain and discomfort. I think I said rise or rhythm. I don't know.
Writhing.
Licensed psychologist Daniel Fox says, if you know a malignant narcissist, Neil recommends avoiding them completely and cutting off all ties. Any attempt to outsmart them will be unsuccessful and exhausting. They spent their lives perfecting the craft of becoming better narcissists. So they work on it every single day to become a better narcissist.
Wow.
To be a better a-hole. Remember that was the word last week. It was a-hole.
Right.
It can be a bigger a-hole.
That's real too. That's crazy. Because they are aware and they're conscious of what they're doing.
Right.
As opposed to someone who grew up in an environment of narcissism and don't know that they are really operating in this thing. That's worse. Way worse.
Way worse. The next one, number 5, sexual narcissism. Sexual narcissists have an overly positive, egotistical admiration of their own sexual prowess. Couples therapist Brendan Santan, PhD, tells Mind Body Green. They can become consumed by their obsession with their sexual performance and the need for the sexual admiration of others. That's bananas right there. Y'all hear that? I think I know one of those, to be quite honest. I believe I know somebody like that. Sexual narcissists are often
okay. That's so real. I'm telling you. Yes. Okay. Okay.
I,
Hey.
I,
Hey. It's probably a
I
whole
ain't never
lot
been
out there
perfect.
walking around like that.
I'm like, I ain't never been perfect, so I believe that I know somebody like that.
Right. Right. Right.
I believe
Wow. Wow.
when you can identify, right?
Yes, that's right. That's
So
right.
listen to this. Sexual narcissists are often serial cheaters, use sex to manipulate people, and
Mm.
may behave violently during sex. I don't know about that part. I can fight, so I don't know.
Mm.
I don't know about that part.
Wow.
Um, to protect yourself from this type of narcissist, your safest option is to get out of the relationship and seek therapy to help you get through the breakup with that narcissist.
Mm.
Sexual narcissism is part of a three-part narcissism typing system that includes
Mhm.
sexual narcissism, somatic narcissism, and
Mm.
narcissism. None of them are validated by research, but the system has been gaining some popularity as some mental health practitioners use them to further categorize different types of narcissism. So that's what I was telling you about the different branches of that tree. You
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
you have the different branches, and it's not just the disorder, but now you have specifics and
Mhm.
specific things. Okay,
Mhm.
so um, somatic
Wow.
narcissists derive their self-worth from their bodies.
Mhm.
Psychologist Christine Scott Hudson writes, this may manifest as someone feeling more beautiful, stronger, or fitter
Mm.
than others. Somatic narcissists often obsess over their weight and physical appearance and criticize others based off on their appearance.
Mm.
They usually ignore the needs of others and prioritize their own. If you're
Mm.
dealing with, Scott Hudson says, avoid displaying emotional
Mhm.
response to their behavior because
Right.
narcissists feed off a drama.
Right. Oof.
So is narcissism someone's character? Like how you watch a child and they grow and you know their characters? Can that be just one of them? Are we saying it is taught? Yes, it is taught. I cannot see the one thing that I won't say. It can be a character flaw. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't necessarily say that that is their character per se because who am I to know? You know, people
Mhm.
change, people grow differently. I wouldn't be able to say that, but I do know that it is a learned behavior, not necessarily taught, but more so seen.
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Experience.
It's
Right.
not like they
Right.
sit you down and say, be an a-hole. No, it's
Mhm.
what they visually see with their eyes that in turns perpetuate that same thing. It's not
Right.
taught, learned. Does that make sense? It's
Mhm.
learned.
It's
It's
learned
just
through
like
experience. Yeah. Through the
through
experience.
experience. It's not
No one.
taught.
No one. No one sits back and teaches you how to be narcissistic.
Right,
You experience
right,
it in the environment. I personally believe it can become a person's character because they're in that and although it's a flawed character that can be changed. It's just it can be changed when you know better. You begin to do better if you work towards doing better. If you
right.
don't, then it doesn't change. But yeah, I believe it's a character that can become a character. Absolutely. Um,
After a while. So a
yeah,
child,
yeah,
yes, a child can
yeah,
become one. A
yeah.
child can become one off of what
Not
they
on
see
purpose.
their
Right,
parents do.
right. Not on
It's
purpose, but
if
yeah.
your parent isn't able, like I don't know. I was gonna say my grandson, like when he's not an a-hole, that's not what I was calling, but when he's
Right,
with
right,
his
right.
partner, he has learned behavior that he's seen from his father that he did not see from his mother.
From his mom.
It was
Right.
not taught, but it was learned. It's just a difference. So
It's a difference.
you gotta know, we all shape our kids. We shape our kids into what we want them to be ultimately, because we are the parents. So we have free reign to make or break our kids depending on, I don't want to say woke enough, but woke enough, you know,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. One of the things that's coming to mind right now is that I tend, when my kids were younger, I was very selective about where they spent the night at and how long I let them go, because it was always when they come back, depending on where they went, now I got to retrain them. This is how we do it here. You know, that is so key for me, you know, in letting your kids spend time elsewhere, you know.
Right. You learn, it's learned. It's a lot of it is learned. A lot of it. Yeah, because children mimic. That's right, Ro. Children just, they, you know what I mean? They see. And that's where I think that saying is, do what I tell you, do what I say. Now, what is that saying again?
Do as I say, not as I do.
Right.
That was a good one back in the day.
That's what, right. Do it not as I do. And, but now you're still teaching them, you know?
Right.
So I feel like it's learned and absorbed since childhood. It is your character, but that make them bad people. It could, depending on the level of narcissistic tendencies, that if you get past that 55% that they were saying on the criteria, then you have a disorder. Okay?
Right.
Then it becomes then it can become malignant, which is the violent one. You know what I mean? So that's why we're going through the different types of narcissism, so that we can identify them as a people, for both men and women. This is not just women. This is for both, because we both can have it. Again, last week, we learned that it's commonly found in men. However, women are not excluded. Okay?
They are not excluded, right.
So,
if I can, I personally don't think any behavior that we do makes us a bad person, except if you're doing something out of malintent. If you're doing it on purpose, then that questions your heart. That, you know, that points to your heart. But someone who grew up in an environment of narcissistic behavior, I don't believe it makes them a bad person. They're just exhibiting what they learned, you know. If they are intentionally hurting you, it's just like someone beating on you, physically. That's domestic violence. That's bad, and you know you're doing it. That makes you, that questions your character to me. But someone who grew up in that environment, I don't believe it makes them a bad person, unless their heart on their motives are intentional.
It's all about your intent.
Like the Mal, was it Mal? What was it? The narcissist with that intentionally, they practice this. Now that's a whole different story.
Oh, the malignant one. The malignant
one, right? That's different.
Becoming a better narcissist.
Exactly.
Like, really?
Yeah.
No,
I would question you then. I would question. Yes.
Like, something ain't right. Something just ain't right.
Right. Yeah. Now, if they know they are from one relationship to another, they know that they're inflicting the same type of emotional turmoil on one person after another, and they do nothing to change it.
That means they're intentional.
Yeah.
That means it's intentional, because you can't keep doing the same thing, getting the same result, and calling a cow a pig. You can't.
Right. Exactly. So
I'm sorry, y'all. I keep yawning. Please forgive me, because I really pressed my way. I really did. I'm really tired. My best friend and my biological sister got married yesterday, and I'm tired. And then I had to do praise and worship this morning. And then on stage, I can do the show because this
Oh.
is God's not mine. So, excuse the yawns. So, okay, so a cerebral narcissist, cerebral or intellectual narcissist derives their self-importance from their mind compared to the somatic narcissist who derives worth from their bodies. Cerebral narcissists get their supply from feeling smarter, more clever, more intelligent than others, Scott Hudson tells Mind Body Green. Cerebral narcissists believe they're smarter than others. In an attempt to feed their ego, they would try to make others feel unintelligent. If you're dealing with this narcissist, insulate, I don't know what that is. Yourself from their words. Okay, so isolate. I think isolate yourself from their words. You're never going to win an argument or get to a point where they admit they're right or that you're right. So learn to just let go. So that's for
save yourself the headache and the frustration.
Yeah, you're gonna just go back and forth for nothing.
Right.
But you here looks at you nurturing, huh? Yeah, baby, even though you're tired. Oh yeah. Thank you, Ro. I am here and I am nurturing my baby. This is my baby. I got to. Just like any mother. You gotta nurture, you gotta love on it, you gotta feed it. I'm here because no matter what, whatever goes on, just like I was at church, I'm gonna be on at the root of it. Okay, and the last one is spiritual. And this is what we was talking. Spiritual narcissists often use their spirituality to justify harmful behaviors and use spiritual jargon to intimidate others. Neil, you see, the narcissist needs to project an idealized version of him to escape his insecure self.
Right.
She says, and spiritual narcissists use seemingly sensitive and spiritual actions as a way to elevate themselves above others.
Right.
Neil says young people or people who have experienced significant upheaval, like a move or a divorce, are more vulnerable to the spiritual narcissist. Captivating dynamic influence. If someone you know uses spirituality as a tool to manipulate or belittle you, separate from them. Then it says the bottom line. Narcissism exists on a spectrum. And there are many different types of narcissism. Some that are more worrying than others.
Yes.
And if you're dealing with somebody or you suspect that you're dealing with somebody, leave, run, go the other way. Warning, warning, warning.
Wow. Right.
Look, almost at the end. I'm stuffy, but I'm not that stuffy because the fan is
you made it through there. Right.
And I'm stuffy though. I'm like, Lord have mercy. It happens, and you it happens. So I want to give you 8 signs. 8 signs for a covered narcissist. Wait, who did I say? A covered narcissist.
And while
is the vulnerable narcissist. Okay, so there's 8 signs. Okay. Sensitivity to criticism, passive aggressive, self-criticism, shyness, fantasies, other mental issues, long-held grudges, and envy.
Wow.
Now, this InStyle.com, I wanted to read this to you really quick, and I want to see what you think about this. It says, experts believe that we are seeing such a dramatic increase in narcissists due to a few factors. Many parents misunderstood the self-esteem movement and thought that telling their kids how great they are would help them to feel good about themselves. But this unmerited praise has created a generation of narcissists who expect to have their ego stroked all the time, regardless of their performance or their behavior. What do you think about that?
I'm sorry. I'm in the park and everybody's leaving. Repeat that again, please.
It says, experts believe that we are seeing such a dramatic increase in narcissists due to a few factors. Many parents misunderstood the self-esteem movement and thought that telling their kids how great they are would help them feel good about themselves. But this unmerited praise has created a generation of narcissists who expect to have their ego stroked all the time, regardless of their performance or behavior.
Right.
So what you think about that?
That's a whole nother show. Let me tell you, that is so true. And I agree with it. I agree with it. I remember I did a paper on whether you should, parents should reward a child or give them compliments. And my stance was not the popular one because of that very reason. You know, you're constantly giving them, I believe you should praise a child. I believe, you know, but you don't want to, you don't want to create something, right? You don't want to create a situation that it's like creating a monster, and then that monster, you let that monster into the world. Now you got to deal with it. I believe there has to be a balance, you know, and you know, I believe there has to be a balance. It's just like in sports now. Sports is not what it used to be. When you see, even the losers are rewarded because you want to make them feel good. Where sports used to be, you know, it's a competition and it's about sportsmanship. But if you're awarding everybody, there's no distinction. That it doesn't allow people to work harder towards their craft or towards the goal and the next time. So yeah, we have become overly praiseworthy in areas when that are really teachable moments for growth. You understand? So I agree with that.
I mean, I get the pep talks because I give my daughter pep talks all the time.
Right.
But I asked a question, and she said, so is there a word for people who are opposite of narcissistic? Empaths? Laugh out loud. I don't know.
That's a good question.
It's exactly what it is. Narcissists are more drawn to empaths because empaths, we have a big heart. And we just want to love because love, what the world needs now is love, sweet love. And so we want to love everybody. We want everybody to be just beings, and they just and our kindness and our weakness. And Tange says she's thinking. All right. So we are at the end of the show, and we would like to really thank everybody for being on tonight's show. Thank you so much, Phoebe, for coming back.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I enjoy.
Yes, because this is needed information. So I want everybody, please, to share this video. People need to know that there's other leaves on these branches other than just that one umbrella of narcissistic or narcissism, that there's branches that stem out that comes from it, or rather, the branches of narcissism and the leaves of the sub-narcissisms that we discussed tonight. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Please share and like the video. And until we meet again this week, Tam says another great show. Thank you so much, Tam. Thank you. I love you, sis. And thank you again, Phoebe, for everything.
Thank you.
And I will get back in touch with you, see if we start to do another one, or we'll break and go and talk about something else and come back to it a little later. But I'll let you know during this week, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Some rest. Get some rest, okay?
I'm tired. But it's still me.
You did great, though.
Thank you. Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Welcome, everyone. We want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to be with us. Come on, let's get to the root of it.
In these times that we live, we take strides to move forward. We strive to be more, stay strong and be focused. Start a while, we make choices, live or die. Take over starts at the root, and the truth may be hard to swallow. Step one,